This is the Oral-B Genius X, or the Genius 10,000 as it is otherwise known. And at the time of recording, this is the flagship electric toothbrush from Oral-B. I've been putting it through its paces for a few weeks, and I'm here to let you know whether it's worth investing in. So I'm going to jump straight in with my verdict then, because ultimately that's what you want to know, isn't it? Is it worth buying? And the short answer is yes. It's a very good electric toothbrush. It cleans the teeth very well and has a whole host of innovative features which may encourage you to brush your teeth better and achieve a better standard of oral health. However, that said, it is far from perfect, and there are a few niggles that I would have liked to have seen improved, bearing in mind that the Genius X is essentially a replacement to the Genius Pro 8000 that came before it. Whilst there are some benefits and improvements, it would have been nice to see a few more. And the Genius X, in my opinion, falls a little bit short of the Philips Sonicare DiamondClean Smart in terms of the refined premium nature. Now, I must stress, as good as the Genius X is, you don't need to spend this much on an electric toothbrush. It has a lot of features and functions that many of us would simply not use on a daily basis. We may use once or twice and kind of forget about. So you could look at models like the Oral-B Pro 1000 and 3000, which provide an equally good clean but don't come with the hefty price tag because they don't have all the same features and functions. Essentially, it gives you the core features that you need to brush your teeth. So I'm going to go through the Genius X in a lot more detail. I'm going to start with the pros and cons, and then I'm going to run it into the sort of design, battery life, price and things like that. So it's going to be a long review. Hopefully this verdict has given you a quick summary of what it's like. The pros and cons will expand that a little bit more, so stay tuned to find out more. If you want more information and would prefer to read, check the link in the description where you'll find a full written review that accompanies this video and goes into lots and lots of details about the Genius X. So the pros and cons then. Well, there are many pros and cons ultimately. It depends on your opinion, but let's start with the cleaning action. That's the most important thing. That's what we use an electric toothbrush for, and the cleaning action is fantastic. We've got the small, round, oscillating, rotating and pulsating electric toothbrush head that Oral-B are famous for. It cleans the teeth really well. I love the clean. It's easy to move around the mouth, and it's going to provide you with a good standard of oral health care. There's a built-in timer and pacer, which encourages you to brush for the right amount of time and to do so evenly. There's a built-in pressure sensor that alerts you via a LED around the neck of the brush handle. It'll light up red to warn you that you're brushing with too much force. The overall design of the toothbrush handle is nice. It's not perfect, but there's a nice expansive grip on the back of the brush handle, and you've got a separate cleaning mode button, and it's a little bit more premium looking and feeling. You've got a range of colour options as well, which kind of add to the overall feel and experience of this toothbrush. And then one of the big standout features, which is a pro for this brush and essentially why the Genius X is the flagship model, is because it's got Bluetooth connectivity and AI, or artificial intelligence, to help you brush your teeth better. Pairs with a smartphone app, and it provides real-time data back to that app to help you brush your teeth to a higher standard and improve your oral health care. The cons are the box contents. There are a couple of variants which I'll explain in a moment, but it would be nice to get a little bit more in the box considering the price that you actually pay. Not that all of it's essential, but it's not the most extensive box contents, let's be honest. There is a premium travel case which allows you to charge the toothbrush in it. Unfortunately, the way it's been implemented, it's got a bulky separate power adapter, which is a little bit of a negative in my opinion. The cleaning mode icons on the handle are also a little bit of a negative. You've got to remember what each icon means. It would be nice if the modes were just labelled, sort of like clean, whitening, sensitive or massage or something like that. The Bluetooth and artificial intelligence, as much as it is a pro, it's also a con. It's not 100% perfect. It can be a little bit fiddly to use and might not be something you use on a daily basis. And then another con is the price. This is not a cheap electric toothbrush, so you're paying for a lot of the features and functions you get with it. You may deem it valuable, but some may not. So one thing to note about the Genius X is there are a few different variants, and the variants differ in different ways. You're best off checking out the written review that accompanies this video, link in the description, to get a fuller explanation. But essentially Oral-B have the standard Genius X model, and then there is a Luxe variant which comes with additional brush heads in the box and a slightly different design on the brush travel case. And you also get different coloured brush handles depending on which variant you buy. So the Luxe variant comes in this Sakura pink or anthracite black, whereas the standard Genius X model comes in black, white and orchid purple at the time of recording. So I'd like to talk about the design and general everyday usability of this toothbrush. So as you can see here, it's actually a pretty nicely designed electric toothbrush. This one is the Sakura pink, so you've got a mix of this pink panel on the front of the brush handle and a gloss white plastic. In comparison to some of the cheaper models of Oral-B, you've got a nice rubber grip on the rear here, which makes it look and feel a bit more premium. We've got nice control buttons on the front. We've got a power and cleaning mode button, and it's nice and comfortable to hold in the hand. It's not the lightest, nor is it the heaviest electric toothbrush. It feels quite solid, probably worth the price you're paying for it in some respects. It doesn't feel cheap or flimsy. It definitely feels nice and robust in the hand, and it's certainly not going to slide out of your grip very easily. The fact that we've got a dedicated cleaning mode button and power button is nice to see, so you can change the modes during the cleaning cycle. Unfortunately, you can't set the cleaning modes before you power the brush on, which is a little bit of an oversight. And you've got a number of icons on the front of the brush handle to depict the different cleaning modes, and you'll also see this battery icon flashing down here as well. So it does give you feedback about the built-in rechargeable battery. Now, I mentioned these cleaning mode icons. They're backlit with a white light, which means you can sort of see them when they're in use. You do need to remember what these icons mean. Unfortunately, you don't have sort of the names of the cleaning modes, so it can be a little bit awkward to know which one you've got selected. And although this toothbrush actually has 6 different brushing modes, there's only icons for 5 of them. The standard daily clean mode does not have an icon, which to me is just strange and slightly confusing, but that's the way Oral-B have implemented it, and it's a shame because that to me is something that could have been fixed or improved from the Genius Pro 8000, which the Genius 10000 essentially supersedes. You get a nice feedback from these buttons, which is good to see. Let me turn the brush on. Now you'll probably hear that that brush is quite noisy. It's much louder than a Philips Sonicare toothbrush, so if noise of a toothbrush is an issue, then this might not be the one for you. When you power the brush on, it launches into the cleaning mode last used on the toothbrush. So if you want to change the mode, you can press the cleaning mode button. There's no option to change the brushing intensity or anything like that. The different brushing modes do provide a slightly different brushing sensation, and they potentially last different amounts of time depending on which one you've got selected. And when I say they last different amounts of time, the brush will always continue to be functional until you turn the toothbrush off. It doesn't automatically power off at the end of 2 minutes, but what changes is the pacing built in. So as standard on a standard clean mode, it's recommended that you brush for 2 minutes and you spend 30 seconds cleaning each quadrant of the mouth. So the Genius X does have that pacer built in, so at 30-second intervals there'll be a pause in the brush head motion, a change in the sound, and that'll alert you to move from one quadrant to another, but that pacing time is affected by the cleaning mode that you have selected. When you are brushing, there is a pressure sensor built in, so if you brush your teeth with too much force, this LED ring around the top will change to a red colour to alert you. The motor will also slow down as well, and if you're using the smartphone app, you'll get a warning on there as well. You don't want to brush your teeth with too much force because that can be damaging to the teeth or gums, so it's good to see that that's got that in here, and it's quite easy to notice when that's activated. This ring actually at the top here can be customized one of 12 different colors via the smartphone application. That's one of the personalization options that you actually get with the Genius X. Now, these small round brush heads do clean really well, as I've already mentioned. The number of brush heads you get included in the box and what type of brush head is included does depend on the package that you actually pick up. But all of them should be replaced every 3 months, and all of them are interchangeable. They simply pull and push off of the handle like so. They do have fading indicator bristles, so over time these blue bristles will fade in colour to more of a translucent white colour, and you'll know it's time to replace the brush head. There's a whole range of brush heads available. You can check out more information on our YouTube channel and on our website about those different brush heads and how they vary, but you can chop and change, and it might be that you prefer a particular type of brush head for a particular type of cleaning mode, and that's potentially where you can get some benefits, but ultimately any brush head will work on any cleaning mode and any Oral-B toothbrush. So all the electronics are sealed inside this toothbrush, so it's water resistant. It can survive a rinse under the tap or in the shower, so that's good to note. There's no chance of potential damage there. Don't go submerging it in water though. It's not completely water resistant in that regard. Now, this is based on the Genius Pro 8000 that I mentioned before, and it's evolved into the Genius X. And the big improvement, really, and the differentiator between the Genius Pro 8000 and the 10000 that came before it is the way that the Bluetooth or smart features have been implemented. Now, without going into too much detail here, previously, with the Genius Pro 8000, you could track the position of the toothbrush in your mouth in real time and get feedback on basically areas you were missing and how to improve your brushing. Now, to do that, you were provided with a smartphone holder into which you placed your smartphone, and it would attach to a mirror or a tiled wall in your bathroom, and you'd have to align your face with the smartphone camera, and then it would show you on screen the areas that you have or have not brushed. Now, the big difference with the Genius X is that you don't need that smartphone holder or to have or make use of the smartphone camera. Sensors now built into the brush handle detect the position of the toothbrush. So the big benefit is it's a less clunky affair, because previously it was a bit awkward to use it and you had to have this unsightly smartphone holder. Now you don't need it because of the sensors, but you still need to have your smartphone close to hand to be able to see areas that you may or may not have brushed. Now, the app is free and it works fairly well, but I have found there to be some sort of discrepancies with the data from the toothbrush handle and the app. It's not 100% accurate. It definitely got better over the weeks I was using it. It seemed to be learning, but it wasn't always 100% accurate. So it's a good guide, but it's certainly not perfect. The whole principle behind this concept is a bit like having a dentist looking over your shoulder as you brush. And the idea is that it will encourage you to brush better because you can see the data and areas that you might not realize you have missed. Now, the app is very comprehensive and there's lots of features and functions that go alongside it, such as reminders for your brush head, customizing the different cleaning modes and the amount of brushing time and things like that, and even ordering supplies from the app. I'm not going to cover that all in this video. Check out the written review for more details on the app, but it's a pretty good implementation. I do think overall Philips Sonicare have done a better job of implementing the app and the position detection kind of technology. Oral-B have kind of gone down this route of AI, and although artificial intelligence is a thing, I don't truly believe the artificial intelligence at play here is as advanced as one might think. It's a bit of a play on marketing words to really make it sound better than it is. I'm not complaining at Oral-B, but it's not perfect, and I think it's really just an enhancement over the Genius Pro 8000 that came before it, but it's a much sleeker way of doing it because you don't need the smartphone holder and stuff, and you don't have to use it all the time. The brush will retain brushing data and sync that back to the app. But if you want the real-time feedback, you do need to have the app in front of you at that time. And that's where one of the other criticisms with this brush comes in terms of like the box contents. So although you had the smartphone holder before on previous models, at least it gave a place to position the phone so you could see areas you were missing. Now you just need to hold the phone in your hand or something like that, and it can be a bit awkward for 2 minutes kind of holding it, brushing your teeth. It would be nice if they included some sort of smartphone stand that you could at least put on the countertop so it would hold the smartphone up at an ideal angle so you could view the screen and get a bit of data without actually physically having to hold it in your hand the whole time. So whilst the whole AI thing works it's a tad overhyped, but if you struggle to brush regularly and you know you're not brushing well, and things like smartphone apps do encourage you, and having reminders and notifications work for you, then this could well be a really good option for you, because some people do respond better to these sort of apps than others. But if you've spent years brushing your teeth and you know that you've got a good technique and very rarely have any problems, then probably you don't need this. You're not going to get the same benefit. That said, it's always useful to check in, because you can find that you can lapse on your brushing technique, and the app can provide you with those little bits of tools and data to help you brush better. And for some, the most important thing is you can be able to actually show your dentist by the log of your cleaning habits in the app, and sort of say, look, I am brushing twice a day, here's how well I've done, how much pressure I've applied, how long I've been brushing for, etc. And that could be another good motivational tool for you. So also included in the box with the Genius X is a charging case. It's basically identical to the charging case we've seen provided before on other models such as the Genius Pro 8000. And what that allows you to do is hold the toothbrush handle and up to 2 brush heads in the case. Perfect for when you're going travelling, on vacation, etc. You've got the ability to protect the toothbrush and the brush heads. Now, this clever case does allow you to actually charge the toothbrush whilst it's inside the case. Now, to do that, you have to use a proprietary power adapter that comes connected. There's no battery built into the case or anything like that. And unfortunately, it doesn't have a USB cable built into the case to charge from a USB socket. Philips Sonicare, their charging travel cases actually have a cable built in, or a detachable that connects to a USB socket, is much more convenient. With the Oral-B option, you have to take the 2-pin power adapter and connect that to a conventional socket at the wall, and then in turn connect it to the case. So you kind of have to leave it out on charge. The actual travel case does have a USB port on it, and this is what's slightly confusing. The USB port on the travel case allows you to charge things like your smartphone at the same time as you're charging your toothbrush. So you connect to the power outlet, the power runs into the toothbrush case, you then connect your smartphone's USB cable to the travel case and to your smartphone, and it will charge both the toothbrush and the smartphone at the same time. It works, it's a bit clunky. It would be a nice improvement if a USB cable was just built into the travel case, a bit like the Sonicare option. It would be a much more convenient option, and particularly if you're traveling internationally, you wouldn't need to then worry about plug adapters. Now, the power adapter that is supplied, although it's 2-pin, it does support 110 through to 240 volts. So if you go to Europe, for example, you'll need just a plug adapter and not a voltage adapter. With the Oral-B Genius X, like most other Oral-B toothbrushes, you do get a 2-year warranty, and there is also a 60-day money-back guarantee. So if you try it and you don't like it, you can go through their money-back guarantee program and get your cash back. And if things should fail over a 2-year period, you've got the option to get it repaired or replaced. It's at Oral-B's discretion. I have to say the reliability of Oral-B toothbrushes, in my experience, has generally been very good. They've got a long history and reputation of making electric toothbrushes, so it's unlikely that it's going to fail on you. But of course, things can go wrong. It's an electrical product after all. So to the battery life, there's a built-in rechargeable battery in this toothbrush. It's a lithium-ion battery, which is good to see. However, it's a little bit disappointing in terms of battery life. It has a claimed battery life of 2 weeks plus. In my hands-on testing, that equated to around about 16 days. So that's 2 cleans a day of approximately 2 minutes in length. So it's not as good as a lot of the competition like Philips Sonicare that potentially offer 2, 3 or even 4 weeks of battery life on a single charge. You're just about scraping 2 weeks of battery life from the built-in rechargeable battery. Now, you do get quite a bit of feedback from the Genius X in terms of battery life. You've got the battery power indicator on the front of the brush handle here, and it flashes red when the power is low and when it needs recharging. You also get a bit of a guide because you've got kind of 3 bars on here, so depending on how many bars are lit, you know roughly how much power is remaining in the toothbrush. When on charge, these icons will flash white as well, so you can clearly see that it is charging. And when the toothbrush is fully charged, all the lights will go out and you know that the charging is complete. To recharge the toothbrush, it takes approximately 12 hours for a full charge. It's okay to leave the toothbrush on the charging stand. Electronics in here will cut off the charge once it is fully charged. And if you need to use it sooner than when it's fully charged, that's fine. Just take it off and actually use it. There's no problem in that regard. Now, it does come with a charging stand included in the box. And of course, you've got the aforementioned travel charging case as well. So you've got a couple of options in the way that you actually charge this toothbrush, be it on the stand or in the case. Now, unlike some other Oral-B toothbrushes, although you get the stand and the travel case, the power adapter used for both the stand and the travel case is the same. So in previous years, you'd have a dedicated charging stand and a dedicated travel case with a power adapter. Here, you need to take the power adapter with you or use it depending on your circumstances. So if you're at home, you use the power adapter and you connect it to the charging stand. But if you're traveling, you need to take the travel case and then the power adapter that was connected to that charging stand. So that's something to be aware of. You're not having separate power adapters. You need to use the same one. Now, that is a 2-pin power adapter. It works on 110 to 240 volts. So if you travel, it's a bit more convenient. You just need a plug adapter and not a voltage adapter. But it's inconvenient the fact that you have to take it with you, and it's not hardwired into the charging stand. I've mentioned previously about the travel case and the way that the USB charging is implemented is actually as a pass-through power for things like your mobile phone. So you know about that and how it's a little bit of a negative and you can't actually charge the toothbrush via a USB socket. So to the retail price of the Oral-B Genius X then. Well, the exact price is going to vary depending on where and when you buy it. And I must stress these prices are as accurate as they can be at the time of recording, but are subject to change. So the Oral-B Genius X standard model, you're looking at around about 300 Canadian dollars. And then for the premium luxe variant, you're looking at anywhere between $300 to $350 as a recommended retail price. Now, the good news is that with most electric toothbrushes, the brushes are sold at a discount, somewhere around about 20%. So don't pay the full recommended retail price. And what that means is the price that you can get this toothbrush at is generally quite a bit cheaper. So the standard Oral-B Genius X will be around about 240 Canadian dollars and the luxe variant around about $255. So a reasonable saving. Subject to the time of year and the retailer, you may find you even get a better price than that. Now, you will have to factor in the cost of replacement brush heads over the time that you own the toothbrush. The exact price will again depend on where you're buying the brush heads, which ones you're buying, and it will also have a bearing on which variant you bought in the first place because the number of brush heads included differs. But generally, Oral-B brush heads are readily available across Canada, as is the Genius X itself. You should be able to find this in some grocery stores, some pharmacies, online. Not every retailer may stock the different variants. You probably need to go online to get the best choice, but you'll certainly find that a wide number of stockists across the country will have at least one of the variants of the Genius X. Now, one of the things we like to do here at Electric Teeth is price the toothbrush over a 3-year period, just to get a rough ballpark figure of what it's going to cost to own the toothbrush and make comparison to other models. Owning the Genius X 10,000 is going to cost somewhere between 27 cents and 35 cents per day. Now, if you compare that to the older Genius Pro 8000, that comes in at around about 18 to 25 cents per day. So you can see how the Genius X is commanding a premium at the moment, primarily because of the newer AI features that are built in. So if you don't feel that you're going to use the AI features that much, or you want to just save the money but still have a very capable toothbrush, the Genius Pro 8000 could still be worth consideration because there's a fair bit of money to be saved, but you're going to have to weigh that up based on your budget and your wants. Now, if you do want the very best electric toothbrush and you want the high end with all the features, it's definitely worth considering the Philips Sonicare DiamondClean. Now, as a general rule, that works at around about 29 cents per day, so very similar price here in Canada in comparison to the Genius X. And I would argue overall it's a better buy because it's a more refined product. I personally prefer the cleaning sensation and experience given by an Oral-B toothbrush, but the way in which Sonicare have implemented the DiamondClean Smart makes for a very attractive proposition. It's got a better travel case and a better battery life. But you've got to weigh up all of these things and decide. So to conclude then, the Oral-B Genius X is an excellent electric toothbrush. You certainly get a lot for your money, but it's far from perfect. You've got to weigh up whether it's the right toothbrush for you. Yes, it cleans the teeth really well. Yes, there are different modes. Yes, there are different functions to help encourage you to brush your teeth better and for longer and to a higher standard. The AI is a nice implementation. It is an improvement over the Genius Pro 8000 and the way that its position detection technology worked. However, you are paying a price premium, and there are certain things that would be nice to be included in the box. Extra brush heads, maybe a smartphone stand, for example. So ultimately, you've got to decide whether this toothbrush is right for you, whether you'll find the extra features useful for you, or whether you'd rather stick with a more basic electric toothbrush that will come in at a lower price. And if you really want the best of the best, the Philips Sonicare DiamondClean Smart is worth considering. But all told, it's a solid electric toothbrush. You could certainly do a lot worse than buying the Genius X 10000. If you found this video useful, be sure to give it a thumbs up. For more videos like this, click subscribe. But until next time, thanks for watching.